knifey spoony before.
It's a David Bowie knife.
Is it David Bowie?
Uh-oh, this one's running out of battery, dude.
Knife. What?
It says low battery mode, 20% battery rating.
Oh, it's probably because it's been dead.
There. Don't look at it.
Now hit close.
10
Is the number.
And welcome back.
That you've...
We're back.
We're on.
We are back.
Oh, we are. It said 9 and then just went straight to the thing. So,
Yeah. You're
all
on.
right,
All right.
welcome back to Come and Brew It Radio.
Say again, Greg.
What?
Say what? How?
You've we've been drinking beer. You had your faces melted by the many-colored death, and we are back.
Melted.
They were melted. So, what are we moving on to now? We've done Dark Mild. We've done British Golden Ale.
Well, we're staying with British Gold now. We just got more to
But
drink.
now we're kind of free roaming the countryside. I'm
Well-
realizing now this whole giant stack of paperwork I have is British Golden Ale, Dark Mild. British Golden Ale, Dark Mild. It's just the same 2 sheets of paper.
Why do you have that much?
I don't know.
Because
I thought, man, we've got a lot
because
to
somebody
go
was an overachiever and printed enough for everybody, and yet nobody looked at them because Greg reprinted them.
I had this huge stack of paper. I thought, man, we got a lot to go through, and it's just the same 2 things
stuff.
over and over again. That's fine with me, though. Based
Right.
on what we've had so far,
So you started
More
with
of the
the
same.
3 best examples.
Well, we started with 3 commercial examples listed in or 3 of the
Right.
commercial examples listed by BJCP.
example,
So
yeah.
so we now know more of what BJCP are expecting from a British Gold now.
This
so
British Golden Ale I'm drinking, it tastes a lot like Pacifico.
then I would suggest it's from the south of England.
The south of England.
Just like
Pacifico. Just like the milds, I feel like we once again are looking at a beer style that has a wide range.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. So what we've got now is 7 more beers, and they are British, they are golden, and like I say, they are ales.
They're British, they're golden, and it's a shower.
Right, and they may
totally
they may
different
or
kind of
may
golden.
not fit within the category from the BJCP. A
I'll
lot of
be
them.
the judge of that.
There you go. A lot of them I've not even drunk before, so I don't know.
All right.
You've never gotten
We ready to
drunk
talk
on it
about
before.
Wainwright here?
So are you honestly saying you brought us beers that you hadn't tried before?
Yes,
That's
and
kinda cool.
that's almost all of these.
He is
almost
trying
all
to
of
get
these 7.
first impressions with people he
This one's
knows and respects.
So why does this one smell and taste like a skunk?
Okay.
Yeah, this one should be called the cousin.
I'll tell you now. In fact, looking through the list of what's left, I've not drunk any of them before now.
Oh, good. This is
Okay.
fun.
So this is Wainwright's the Golden Beer.
This tastes a lot more like what it's going to taste like in my shop later on tonight.
Okay. let me tell you how it's described. 100% Maris Otter, Magnum, Tradition, Hersbrucker, Late Hop with Styrian Golden.
I can't believe it's so dank.
It's, as much as I don't want to say it, I really want to agree with Stubby. It tastes like Pacifico.
I was being a smart ass.
No, he's actually drinking Pacifico.
this tastes almost exactly like
And it is
Pacifico
really
to me.
skunky, isn't it?
Well, that must be
skunky in the
Pacifico then,
aroma. It's not
because this doesn't
skunky in
taste
the
anything
flavor.
like Pacifico.
No, Pacifico is papery in comparison.
Yeah. No. The skunk is only in the aroma, and I don't know that it's necessarily skunk.
I get some on the
It's
taste.
not skunk like light struck. It's
Yeah.
skunk like big fat bowl is what it tastes like. I mean, it's very, very dank. You know?
Yeah.
Dang.
Brandon had a very different experience in high school than most of us.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, he is from California.
Yeah, I took about 10 years off my life in high school. I can guarantee you that.
So I think we could safely say this is out of character from the previous 3, right?
Well, maybe.
I don't know.
It can't
some
say that it
similarities
doesn't
to
fit
me.
within what the expectations are. It's just different.
Is that not like really light for just 100% Maris Otter?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So this says, inspired by the author Alfred Wainwright. That's hard to say. Wainwright, famous for his Lakeland Fell guidebooks. For every summit Wainwright conquered through his passion and commitment, each one delivered the ultimate reward. That's
It's romantic, isn't it?
Yeah. I think they had been
Hold it up.
sampling their own product when they came up with that description.
Hold it up for the camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where's...
So I'm
There
gonna
we go.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I'm going to say the same thing I said with that black dog earlier, is that the first impression of this beer didn't jump and love it, but the more you drink it, it comes around a little bit.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm not
I
saying,
agree with you on that. Yeah.
I'm not saying that it jumps as good as the other examples, but I think that it does come around. It does bring some more, and then after you get past that overall impression or that first impression, then that light struck note goes away. You start bringing out more of the flavors, and
It gets a lot more malty.
Yeah, I think
malt
so.
Right.
character
I'm going
than-
to tell you this.
And
If
I
you
don't-
gave me this, if you poured me a glass and told me this was brewed in Colorado, I'd believe you.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, this is the
Could be
least
brewed
English
anywhere in the
tasting
world,
beer
yeah.
we've had
Absolutely.
tonight, I think.
Okay.
Thank you, beardless Brandon.
Yeah, let's. Do we need to discuss this, Brandon?
No, we really don't.
Is there an emotional attachment that?
It's let's just say
Nostalgia?
I'm a little bit sadder tonight.
That's the
And
reason we don't have a camera on him.
That's a good reason too. That's a good reason.
oh, we might change that then.
You have to have a beard before you get your own camera again.
All right,
Yeah.
don't let Stubby get any of this
Kind
one.
of looks
okay?
like he just had a vasectomy on his face.
That was harsh, man.
That was harsh. That was
Sorry.
All right, so
It's harsh because it's true.
so this next one that we have is Hog's Back Garden Gold. Okay, it's about 4.4%.
I love this beer.
Hey, I got. Sorry, guys, you're just gonna have to wait.
Oh,
I'm trying to take a look at.
Reading
Either that
material
or-
here.
This is a good friend of mine
Send me the bottle back.
that lives in Nottingham. Got me like, I don't know, 10 bottles of this.
Is this
was this
Oh,
the one
so
he
you
got
don't
you
need
with
a
the tea?
tasting?
Yeah,
is this
it's
an
the
old
tea,
brewery or is
yeah.
this a newer brewery?
To be honest, I'm not absolutely
It's a
certain.
newer brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's
I feel like we've had some Hogs Back beer before.
We had
We
the
have.
TEA
Yeah, the
tea,
tea, yeah.
the typical English ale.
okay,
tea?
okay.
Yeah.
I
And
can't say that I remember that.
you
like the label.
You really liked it. I remember.
Did I like it?
Yeah,
Okay.
you did. And in fact, you said the typical English ale is exactly what it was. It sums it up perfectly.
Okay, I believe you.
So tea.
Yeah, TEA tea.
Well, there's a brewery in Denver that actually takes a dark malt and they use a little tea at the end, some Earl Grey just to give a little character. And it is
Okay.
an
I like
absolutely
that.
wonderful, wonderful beer.
Okay. Speaking of, let's go back just for a second. Speaking of dark mild, if you're in the DFW area and you want to be able to sample some dark mild, our friends at Division Brewing do a fantastic version.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Okay.
they do.
Okay, good.
And they serve it through a beer engine.
Oh, nice.
Okay, yeah. When I
Yeah.
was there, the beer engine was empty.
With the sparkler?
Yes.
No way.
Yes, way.
Yeah, they've got a beer engine sitting back there.
Yes, they do.
People don't do that around here.
Yeah. So when are we going?
Like in 5 minutes.
We got more beer.
Now
drinking
this
yet.
this
I'm
to me
probably
is
still
much
open.
more back
2
towards
minutes, Turkish. 2
an
minutes.
English bitter. You said it was 2 minutes, 5 minutes ago.
That's not the point. hey, this one has the no pregnant ladies too, by the way.
right.
Kind
I
of
mean,
love
this-
that.
No,
Uh,
this one is much
little
more
stronger.
back towards an English
Yeah.
mild style. I think both,
Right.
both in the malt character and the restrained bitterness. And
The
and hops, I
body
think.
is much heavier in this beer.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So their description is a light and refreshing pale golden beer with hints of banana and pineapple. That would be banana, not banana.
I don't
Not
get
banana.
any-
Banana.
I don't get any
Banana.
pineapple.
You forgot the R at the end, dude. Banana.
Banana. Yeah, there you go.
In the tailpipe. Crafted with a fine blend of the best English malted barley and mainly fresh local Fuggles hops, but with some aroma hops at the end of the boil.
Well, see, there you go.
I knew this was my favorite one. I think this is pretty darn amazing.
It's really
But
good, yeah.
It does kind of lean a little heavier on the British style instead of being a little more widely diverse than the others.
Yeah, I like this one. Probably the best. So
I wouldn't confuse this for a lager in any way.
No way,
A
no,
light anything.
It's very much an English character style beer from start to finish.
See,
Just
that's the thing. Is this actually a bitter and
No.
not
Yes.
necessarily a golden?
No, there's no
you know?
caramel.
Yes.
There's no caramel notes at all. That
But
you
the
would
but
expect.
the malt character is substantial enough, I think. That
I
I
think
just
I
think
don't
it's
know.
more well balanced.
oh, it's definitely
personally.
more well balanced. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would not. I mean, as a best bitter, then I would probably knock it because I don't have the caramel. If I looked at just a straight ordinary bitter, I think it's even leaning a little more to that, like you're saying.
But would you knock it more as a bitter than you would as a golden? Because compared to the other goldens we've had, this is more balanced.
Right, is this a
The
tweener?
goldens seem a little bit more out of balance.
Yeah,
you
is
know?
this a tweener because it
Yeah.
doesn't have the typical hop characteristic
Right.
as what the BJCP would suggest.
Yeah, I think that's the note. Is the tweener, and
I like me a good tweener, you know.
Hey.
I'm not knocking the tweener.
You're a little old for that.
I hope you're talking about.
I don't know what you're
in-betweeners.
talking about. You guys just made it bad.
What's interesting to me, and I think for you guys that are listening, and I know this may get boring to some of you guys out here, but what we're trying to do is not only we're just tasting these, we're trying to sum these up for you that are not able to drink beers like this that might be interested in brewing the style. So, yeah, but we can't go nanny. But I think the interesting thing about this one is even still, I think I still get some of the same characteristics that I did in the other three.
Yeah,
I mean, it's light. You still get this. I think I get some similar hop character, bitterness wise. I mean, it does have a little bit of a lingering bitterness, but not for a long lasting, maybe like a pale ale would, or American pale ale. But I think it's still kind of crisp to me, but it still does have kind of English character.
yeah, you're dead on right, and I still lean back toward there's no caramel note at all. And even in the ordinary beer, I would expect just a touch of that caramel or toffee notes, and just had to go refresh my own memory and look at the ordinary bitter, and it does say a low to moderate caramel, and this one has virtually none. But it has all of the bready, the biscuity note that I
very
expect,
bready.
and
you know what?
I think that's why I love it so much.
I wouldn't be even surprised if this doesn't have some noble hops in it too.
It could.
Yeah, they talk of fuggles and they talk of aroma hops, but they don't tell us what the aroma hops are.
Yeah, this one jumped to the top for me. The others were fantastic, but
I still would
lean-
take the Exmoor Gold personally. With it is
Yeah, I
my
don't
favorite
know.
so
But
far.
that's okay. You can do that.
This
That's
one
true.
makes more.
It's going
pretty
to
tight for
take
me.
a lot to beat that for me too. The Exmoor Gold.
I'll take
this-
the first one.
These Summer Lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like the Summer Lightning too. I agree
That
with you.
seems to
That's probably
exemplify
number
the
2 for
style.
me.
right.
Well, they invented it according to the guidelines, so
I just like this because it's got a pig on it.
There you
know?
go.
I have to agree with
knew
you.
it.
I do like the
I
label.
mean, I kind of resemble, so hey.
This
I
next
like me
one
some
seems
pig,
to,
man.
And I like
seems to fit
bacon.
pretty well too. The
So-
Witchwood.
So this
Which
next
what?
one is Hobgoblin. So the traditional Hobgoblin beer, we're actually able to get over here in DFW. We've had that in the past. This is their golden beer version.
Which we can't get this, I don't
Which
believe.
no,
do
I
we?
don't. I
haven't
have
seen
not
that
seen it
one.
over here. No. There's a bit of a description on this
to
one.
me, this
too.
is what James has been talking about. This is where James has been saying we're going to land eventually tonight.
This has such a hybrid and a mix of hops. It's got Pilgrim from UK. It's
I hate to say
got
it right.
Nelson Sauvin from New Zealand.
Oh, is there Nelson in there? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's
I
got
can
some
see that.
Citra,
You can smell it.
and it's
Citra.
got
There you go.
and it's got some Summit.
Yeah, Brandon, I'm sorry. I just got to say you're right, and you're a genius. I mean, because if you
Don't
agreed
say
upon,
shit like that to him.
Yeah,
no.
come on.
I said he agreed on what I said, which means he's a genius, right? Yeah, no.
This is very, very American. If you put a label that said APA on this, I'd say, yep, that's an APA.
Somewhat, but boy, it's got a malt backbone behind
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, really an APA.
And it still has that
should
crisp
have
bitterness
some-
too. It's not like a.
I
It doesn't have
remember
like
back
a
in the day
C-
that Sierra Nevada had some malt character.
So compare this one to the Adnams Ghost Ship that we had before we came on air, which we really did describe
Completely
between us as an APA.
Yeah, no. The Adams
didn't have the malt.
It was more citrusy than this one.
Right.
This one's got a good citrus, but it's got a complementary citrus that
Well,
just is a kiss.
But wouldn't you
And
say
that's
on
what I
all
love.
of these beers that you would have a super clean bitterness?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yes, yes.
There's just there's no like lingering bitterness like an American IPA.
Well, the only one that I would say maybe was outside of that was the Summer
first,
Lightning.
yeah.
Now it was a clean bitterness, but it's a very assertive bitterness.
assertive,
It
yeah.
was right up front.
No, but you're right, Stubby. There's a difference between that absurd, harsh bitterness that we do expect in the American IPA. That this one's a lot more rounded. It's clean.
Right.
It's got a different note to it that dead on.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and
a very
that-
good way of putting it.
That
up.
may be why that may be why I think, to me, these taste real German. To me.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. 100%.
And maybe from the clean bitterness, and
That's
that's
a
what
good
I'm
point.
associating.
Yeah,
with.
I would
Yeah.
agree with you on that.
Okay, so
Dead air. We all just agreed. End of
Yeah,
show.
hey.
Good night.
It's the first time on this show that everybody's agreed to Stubby. Hey, Stubby, we ought to give you a round of applause.
You know,
That might be the first time ever that we all just said yes.
when I go back and listen, I always think, the arguing is terrible radio. Apparently, the agreeing is terrible radio too, because we go yes, and then we all just shut up.
And I tell you what, Witchwood has put out some fantastic stuff,
Yeah.
and we're lucky enough to get a lot of their beers
Now, for sure.
and they
yeah.
really do a good job. And this is a nice example of something different.
Really cool bottle too.
It's
all
exciting.
of them, all their bottles are.
Yeah, they are.
It's very exciting, I think, to see a traditional brewery that's been around for a long time to throw out something that is different, and they're having to. It just shows you the diversity of beer that's happening across the world, not just here. I mean, U.S. is really a pioneer on walking into a pub and seeing 30, 40 different beers.
Mm-hmm.
You never saw that anywhere else, and now, I mean, in such a purist and a historical beer scene, now you're seeing more than 5 or 6 different beers.
I'd also say that some of these that you brought, like the Witchwood, even, I think that having it brought with Nigel from England makes a big or a substantial difference on the way it probably would normally
Absolutely.
taste.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling like the ones that I've had from there, I've enjoyed them all, but I feel like they're all something's happened along the line,
Yes.
somewhere in travel and then sitting on a shelf wherever it was,
You got to think they're at least 2 months older.
Yeah. So,
well, and that's one of the things that I would like
or
to.
they treated them differently.
One of the things that I would point out about even these styles, even though we're talking about hoppiness, I would say that none of these, all of these are very well crafted beers. There's not a single one of them that I thought, man, this sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
with you on
there's
that.
just not there. You just don't get that over there.
And-
Whereas, and I think that's the biggest problem we have with a lot of our craft stuff. I mean, half the time when I go and buy stuff, I pour it in a drain.
Well, that's the other thing too. When you're talking about, you've talked about going to Europe, whether it's Germany or wherever, and they're trying to do American styles, and
Oh, they're terrible.
They're not doing well at them. To me, they retained what they know well, what they do well. The English heart of the beer, they retained it, so they're able to make a well-crafted beer that's maybe outside of what they normally do. But they stayed kind of true to the English stuff, and that's why I think all of these beers have been good. Whether I've liked some better than others, but all of them I would buy again.
Yeah, I think that for me, that's one of the more exciting parts is that you're dead on. They retain some of their original, heritage and their beer
looks like
influences.
Old E.
But yet then they
No, it's like a tiny malt
throw
liquor
some out.
bottle.
it is
exactly
malt
what I
liquor.
thought.
So a bit of a teaser for next week. We've got the remainder of the beer that I brought back, and somehow I managed to bring 30 bottles back.
I want to see that bottle back.
Shit,
over.
that's
And-
good. Ooh, man, that may.
And so
have
we've
jumped to
got
the top for
we've
me.
got 2 Witchwood breweries, 2 Witchwood
baby.
beers next week. This next one we've also got a beer of next week, Shepherd Neame. It's the oldest brewery in Britain.
I thought I
And,
saw that label before. It looked
yeah.
the design of the label looked familiar. So
The-
Is this Spitfire?
Shepherd?
This
what
is
you call-
Spitfire Gold.
Okay.
So they
I'm gonna kick him in the ass.
What other-
clear
what other
bottles? What the
Spitfires?
hell?
Yeah,
you
you're
see.
right.
I'm sorry.
What other Spitfires have we seen?
They're just a regular pale
know,
ale.
Yeah, it's just a ordinary, not an ordinary. It's best bitter.
It's really
Okay.
good.
It's really, really good. Yeah.
I've seen it somewhere in travels at some point in time.
You've
Don't ask me
probably
where.
seen a advertisement for it in our men's restroom.
Yes.
It's possible.
It says no
Fokker
Fokker comes close.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right.
I usually go to
So-
the other restroom though.
So as we're drinking these and we're enjoying them and everybody is jealous and nobody can really fully appreciate what we're saying, let's kind of talk about if you were formulating a recipe for this at home,
Absolutely.
how would you do it?
Yeah, I go back to 40 to 50% nice, good English malt, a Maris Otter or Muttons, and then I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it with the Pilsner. I'm going to use.
We at the break we were talking about that. I would think
Yeah.
50-50
Yeah.
would be right, like
Somewhere in
a,
that
like a
range,
Maris
I'm gonna
Otter and a
cut it.
Pilsner kind of thing.
Yeah, it depends on your brewery. If you're a brewer that pulls out less malt, then add more like 60-70% English malt, and then the rest Pilsner. If you're somebody that does a really good job of pulling out a lot of malt,
Did you hear that?
then reduce it.
No.
So
Well, and I would even like to. Maybe we can all do this because I think this would be a fun experiment. Because I think I would like to go even less Maris Otter than that.
yeah, so,
I'd maybe
Yeah.
a quarter
and
and try that.
I could see that.
There were
100%.
a couple of them we drank tonight that I would agree
Really
that that's
light
how they
body.
were. But I
Yeah.
think the ones that I liked the most still had some English malt character
Yeah,
to
no,
them.
I think you got to cut it. I also think that me personally, I would do a full 60-minute of nothing but Goldings. I would take Fuggles out of it, in my opinion.
I agree.
As much as
Too
I
heavy.
love the hop, but I use that, and then at my say 2 to 5 minute hop, I throw a very small splash of something different, and it be a Hallertau
Sots.
or a Sots or a Citra or a Cascade or a Centennial. I would throw something different just to give it a different pop.
Personally,
And-
my
and you might
favorites
wanna
that we
blend
had
them.
tonight did not have the American hop character to them.
Yeah.
I thought the American hop character took them out of what I really enjoyed about them.
When I think that's why it would be a very small edition. I'm talking a quarter of an ounce at 5 minutes.
Yeah, I can see
it's
that.
just a kiss, and nothing more than a kiss.
Pinch of salt.
Yeah, I think that something would bring a little bit of character there.
what would you bitter with?
I'd bitter with Fuggles or EKGs. Pardon me. I said I'd go all EKGs. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
That's.
I could see better with Magnum on this one too.
That's
you
what I
could.
was thinking.
You
I
could,
know.
and
It wouldn't take much though.
Another good one would be Northdown or Northern Brew. Would be
Northdown
good.
would be
one's
good.
Challenger.
Yeah,
It's
Challenger would be
is
good.
it?
Target.
I was going to check on that. I looked, so I
Pilgrim.
missed it off the list.
I am highly biased to EKGs. I think that's an amazing.
I am
rap.
too. I agree with you on that. So you're shooting for somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.5%, probably on average. Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe a little bit less, but that'd be your middle. I think would be
Yeah.
4.5. So I would figure. What would you think? Probably 24, 25 IBUs on something like this.
Yeah, and it says 20 to 45. I think 25 to 30 is a good range. I think the lower
Maybe
levels-
up towards 30. Yeah, a little more aggressive.
Yeah, I think 45 is high.
Well, I bet the Summer Lightning was 45, and to me,
Yeah.
I would have dialed that back.
and
a little
something you'll hear me preach about if I'm going to brew a bitter, you'll hear me preach about using like an EKG and Fuggles, but using a low alpha and using a lot of them. In this style, I would reverse the other way around. If I were able to get some 6 or 7% EKGs, some a little bit higher EKGs, I would rather use the little bit higher, and that's why using the Challenger.
Why is
or the
that?
North, just because using less of it.
You don't want that
You
grassy.
you don't want as much of that grassiness.
Okay.
And because you can use 5 ounces of a 2 alpha hop at 60 minutes to get your bitterness, and that much of a volume is still going to carry through to where you still get bitter.
You're gonna
you
still get some flavor out of it,
and
yeah.
you get some aroma. You know, there's a big misconception. Oh, if you put it at 60, you have no aroma and flavor. No, that's not true. And just like the other way around, if you put it at 2 minutes and put enough of it, you can still get to 100 IBUs in
Yeah,
2 minutes, but
yeah.
you're going to put so much as that. And so I think that in this style, having a higher alpha would help kind of ease that a little bit, so it's not as strong on the flavor, because you want a well-rounded flavor, and then just like I said at the end, a blended kiss of multiple hops.
We talked about base malt and we talked about hops. What about specialty malts? Would you put anything in this?
No, not at all. I would
Nothing
not.
at all.
I
Okay.
wouldn't.
All right.
If you
No Munich.
I'm going to step back. Nothing. Well,
Okay.
Munich being a base malt and Munich.
Well,
so
okay, yeah, it is a base malt, but it's more of a.
I think
It's
that-
kind of a hybrid. Really,
I would.
I think that would mess
I
your
would.
color up too,
Yeah.
because most
Yeah.
of these are really light.
They are really light. Yeah.
No caramels at all. No color adjustments. Nothing. This is strictly an English base with a Pilsner adjustment, or 100% Pilsner. the style even talks about using 100% Pilsner malt. You could do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if that first one leaned really heavily.
There was a couple of them I thought,
Yeah,
that probably
yeah.
might have been the case.
Yeah.
Now, again, personally, my favorites in there, I think, had a little bit more malt character to
and
them.
then on the yeast side, I would try to pick the cleanest English yeast that I could find that produces the least diacetyl. I wouldn't even have a problem leaning
Nottingham.
toward a Nottingham would be a good one,
Nottingham,
or
that's
lean toward
the
a
Liberty Bell.
continental ale yeast like a German ale yeast. I think a German ale yeast would probably work pretty good on this.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, move over to a continental yeast that still has a touch of esters, but is low on the diacetyl and lower on the sulfur. I think
Personally, I think your yeast selection would have a lot to do with your hops
I agree.
selection as
I
well.
agree.
If you were going to stick just to continental hops, I would say something a yeast with a very, very restrained ester profile to it would be better.
Yeah,
where if
100%.
you were going to get into some fruitier or maybe citrusy type hops, then a little bit more esters might be okay.
Yeah,
It would blend in a little bit better.
You got to ferment it pretty cold, right?
Yeah, you're going to
62,
Yeah.
60, 62.
But I would also make sure to ramp it up at the end. You've got to dry this out. All of
Right.
these were nice and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Well, and I think that may be where you need to look at your mash temperature as well. So
Yeah,
you're-
I would mash 150 or below.
150, 152, at somewhere in that range. I think all these are pretty straightforward in the standard rules.
Probably-
being 150 to 152, and then a 63-degree temp mash
Right.
temp.
Which I think
What
this
was
would
this
be
last one we had here? The Spitfire?
The
Spitfire.
Spitfire Gold.
That tastes more like wort than any beer I think we had tonight. That one,
they,
the
Is that
smell,
wort?
the smell and the taste is it reminds
to
me,
it
of a
just
brew day.
smells like skunk.
It's got a little skunk to it. Yeah.
Honestly, it's my
Well-
number 4 for the night.
interestingly enough, Stubby, it's clear bottle,
Number 3.
so
Yeah.
that may have something to do with it.
Well, they fucked up when they moved that. Oops, sorry.
Oh, great! Now we got to start over again.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to call
Leaving that
FCC
right up
now.
her
Back to
ass
7
now.
o'clock.
And I tried to say shit. I mean, come on.
Challenger.
Like I told my Uber driver, they still say it in there.
Challenger, Centennial, and SARS in the Spitfire
Hey,
Gold.
ask me later about my last Uber experience.
What happened in your last
No.
Uber?
I can't talk about it on
got
We'll
the
all
raped.
be blacklisted.
but it was kind of scary.
He fart raped the Uber driver.
I think we discussed this on the
You
last
kid.
episode, did we
Never
not?
Did we?
He has 1 star now.
Yes, yes.
Not trying to front butt you or anything, but
Right.
Yeah, it happens. So what are we drinking now, Stubby? You got the bottle in there.
This is Braxpear
ooh, I like that.
Oxford Gold.
Right, so this is as pretty much
Oxfordshire
as
beer.
English as you're going to get.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as...
But probably number
these
2
the
in
guys-
terms of bitterness, though.
right,
What's the other beer that they
to be
make?
honest,
It's
I
got
don't
a
taste it.
strong bitterness, yeah.
Do they make the Bluebird?
No, that's Coniston.
It's the
Coniston
same bottle.
Bluebird, yeah. So this is Fuggles, EKG, Styrian, and English Pale and Crystal Malts. So this is pretty English.
This one has crystal malt.
You got something against English people?
Yeah, some of them.
Evidently,
they're
it's
on the
bottle
wrong side of
conditioned,
the
and I got
pond.
the dregs. Evidently, it's bottle conditioned, and I got all the dregs. Nice.
That's right.
Bottle conditioned English
protein.
beer, huh?
That was intentional.
good for you.
Stubby.
That's
I hate
not
to
really
say
a
that.
thing.
Happens every now
normally.
and then.
This one has the second most pronounced bitterness of all of them we've had tonight, I think.
You know, it's interesting. I pick up a floral note to the hops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely floral and dirty, too. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some fuggles. in there.
Lingers.
There's definitely Fuggles. They
Yeah.
they
Lingers.
advertise Fuggles.
Yeah, it definitely dirty.
Bitterness lingers, floral and dirtiness.
That has the most characteristically English hop profile in terms of flavor of any of them we've had, I think. I
No,
mean, that's
this
it.
you
I
could
agree.
put this in English IPA category in a
Yeah,
competition.
absolutely.
Right.
And
Yeah.
win with it, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I'm not saying it's right. I'm
Body
just saying
wise,
it would
no.
win.
Okay, bingo.
So
Body wise, no, but yeah.
point of reference: the Breakspear, Braxpear, however you want to
Say it,
pronounce it.
again.
Breakspill.
Yes.
Break.
I believe the Thames Valley yeast from Y Yeast is from this brewery.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of the things you can kind of get from this is very minerally.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It
Yeah,
is.
Yes.
very.
And I think that's characteristic of Thames beers. I mean, Thames Valley beers are just really minerally. And if you look at that water profile, you understand.
It's also in the Thames Valley too. It's both of them.
The Thames.
It's
Yes,
both of
the
them,
River
yeah.
Thames.
They have a lot in common.
Right.
I really like
Like
this.
a river.
You know what this
I'm
really
retarded.
this reminds me a lot of? Was it the White Shield?
Worthington.
I mean, the flavor.
Worthington White Shield.
It reminds me a lot of that.
I think there's a lot of interesting characters in this beer.
Yeah,
there's
it's very
stuff-
complex.
Yeah.
That might be the most complex of the night, actually.
Yeah, it's fun.
I think that goes to me. I'm more complex.
You're like an ogre, right?
No, you
Layers.
You have
Layers.
layers.
Layers. Like an onion.
Also an onion, yeah.
All right, so we've only got 2 left.
only.
Yes.
Only
All right, and these
But my
2.
list is
aren't on your
complete.
list.
No, they're not.
Oh,
You
he's
tricky
going off
bastard.
book.
Yes.
Damn
You
trick.
cheeky, tricky bastard.
Yeah, and I don't know how good they are.
Hey,
No.
quit
That's fine.
discounting this. They're fantastic.
Well, I can't
I gotta
guarantee it.
agree
So-
with James on this.
He
one.
went to the English version of Walgreens. Wait, it's probably just still Walgreens.
Probably still.
I went to Aldi.
I brought
Walgreens.
I brought back some beers.
Walgreens.
There's an H in there.
I brought back some beers that were
WAWGR.
brewed by somebody under license and labeled by somebody else. One of them was cat piss.
Ah,
One of
It's
them
called
was
cat piss.
one of them was dog piss. And we've already drank those.
No, it was something that's Mr. Farty or something.
There was farty pants.
Farty
yes,
pants,
Yeah,
yes,
Stubby
farty pants.
Stubby particularly enjoyed the dog piss.
The dog piss.
Yeah. This
Farty
one,
pants wasn't bad either.
this one, they're both golden ales. This one is lazy sod,
You
Lazy
lazy
sod.
sod.
and the last one,
Can you translate that to English?
it's
please?
basically lazy ass.
Okay.
And this one is loony soup.
Okay. Can you translate that too?
No,
We use English.
no,
No.
I can't.
So
That's a
we're,
direct
it's tough to
translation.
translate
hey,
without
over
naming
here in
names.
America, we use English. I don't know what you English people use, but we use English here.
Yeah, we use whatever we want to invent
Lazy
at the
sod.
time.
It's grass that doesn't want to
Yeah.
work.
Right, there you go.
Grass and dirt.
These
I don't know.
are
I feel like lazy
Yeah,
sod
see,
is hard
I-
to
it's
define
like I'm
without
learning. I'm
naming
learning.
names.
Yeah.
I learned a
lazy
lot of
sod-
these words, but like back when I was a kid, like sod and bollocks and stuff, and it was all from the Sex Pistols, and now I'm starting.
Yeah,
to,
it's all
starting to
punk,
put stuff
punk
together.
rock,
yeah.
you know.
I'm gonna let
Makes me
some.
feel so much younger because
All right.
I learned all
I'm
these
gonna let
words
somebody
from,
else read what it says on the side.
PBS.
but
Well, hang on a second. No, I can't read it.
it's pretty small.
Yeah,
His arms
I
aren't
even have
long
glasses. My arms aren't long enough with the glasses. So craft brewed in.
We got a young
old.
guy here. Give it to
And
the
bottle.
young guy.
So, here you
He
go.
doesn't look like a young guy, but he is a young guy.
It says Facebook on there though. Isn't that fucked up?
It doesn't say Facebook on here.
Two.
Lazy sod is a refreshing humped
What does this say on
ale
the
session
top
beer.
above that?
He's trying to read it, dude.
It said above that it says alcohol 4.0%.
What's that blue?
Yeah, look around the other side of the bottle.
Yeah,
It's on
that
the
says
other
Facebook
side,
over
dude.
there.
Yeah, it
That's
says.
not the important part. That's
Would
where
you let the
hold
guy
your
read
thumb.
the beer?
So wait, how do you guys know about Facebook in Britain? I
Well-
thought that was an American thing.
Well, it kind of is, but we're fairly important in the playing of the world, and so we get such things as
Don't worry, there's no
Facebook.
sediment in this one.
At
Twitter,
At one point, they've colonized
email.
every country in the world. You
I
know
think,
that, right?
I think there's only 7 countries we haven't fought with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And they're new.
Or had a colony.
right.
Is one of
Antarctica.
Hey, is one of them Scotland?
Oh, don't
No,
get
we-
it started.
There's plenty
Don't need. There's a reason that wall's there.
Ooh, that's actually really good.
You think so?
Yeah, I like
You
that
don't
a
get
lot.
nothing wrong with it?
Yeah, well, there's probably diacetyl, which I can't taste
Yeah.
very well.
I can
And
smell
Oh
it.
yeah,
I
that's
don't-
that
I
I
don't
can
either.
smell it.
yeah. That's
I
got diacetyl left, right,
am a
center.
poor diacetyl taster, but ow.
Yeah, there is.
There's
plenty
definitely
of-
diacetyl.
That is my Achilles heel. I cannot
Caramel
taste
ball,
diacetyl.
baby.
Finishes off better than you would think. With
See, I get
diacetyl.
butterscotch out of it, so that's why when you
Right.
said that, I thought, well, it
Yeah.
must be
I bet you they
diacetyl.
used
Yeah.
1187.
Oh yeah, it's strong.
There was the
Diacetyl
wormwood?
Smell and taste.
Wormwood,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really like this.
Ugh, I hate that gross ass yeast.
For some reason, I really like that diacetyl taste. I don't know what it is.
You like?
It's because you like English toffee.
It's great on popcorn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like
I love
toffee. Yeah,
popcorn.
yeah.
Oh, I brought some toffee back too. Stubby, is it all gone?
Yeah,
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already.
This reminds me of a few craft lagers around here.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Want to
too.
name them?
No.
No.
You're right.
nice.
Yeah.
No, Mikey's not here. We're not going to directly attack anybody
Because he's not here.
Holy cow! That is a
because
butter
he's
bomb,
the
isn't
one
it?
who will directly name
his
anybody.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Where is
about-
Mikey?
He's in the mountains, like snow.
Yeah,
and-
he's getting raped by a Yeti right now.
Really? I thought it was a moose.
He's picking a fight
A
with
moose
Northerners
Yeti.
and then
Moosin'!
settling it on slopes.
Apparently, he did have an incident with a moose earlier today.
Many much
So
moosing in the
bulgy.
woods and in.
We call it an incident, but the things that happen in the woods stay in the woods.
That's exactly right. That's why we call it an incident.
I think he went out there looking for such an incident. Is the thing?
It's
All right.
the-
So, question.
I got an answer for you. Then.
All right. Good. Is there a acceptable beer style that people can get to taste this style in the United States?
Oh, that is a good question.
Is there any craft breweries that are
No.
making this style?
To my best knowledge, no.
No,
Not
I don't think so.
absolutely.
Not just homebrewers.
There's none even listed on the style guidelines.
No, and to be honest with you, I don't know that an American brewery would make this. If they're going to get
On
in this
purpose.
ring, well, if they're going to get in this ring, what they're going to brew is the blonde ale.
Yeah.
It's, I think, in a relationship to the American Pale Ale to the blonde ale, and the best bitter to the golden
Right.
ale. I think they're the same.
You know which one beer I was just thinking about though that I think I'd like to taste it, but it's been a long time since I had it.
Blatz?
No, that beer's not good.
Hams.
I had it recently.
Keystone
I bought
Light.
a 12-pack of
Hey,
it.
Hams is
No.
$18 a
Hams,
case. I
dude.
bought some of that at Walmart the other day.
Is the golly, what was it?
Yeah, you're trying to tell us.
Frio?
It was the revolver beer that he thought was going to
Orange?
be his flagship, and it's made with Saphir, and it reminds me a lot of this beer.
High brass.
High Brass.
Yeah.
That was it.
Oh, that's their like Imperial Blonde, right?
Why would Imperial? It was just a.
Well, it's a
it was
blonde, but it's like 7% or something like that,
just-
right? I mean,
think
it's
so.
all their beers are real big, aren't they?
I don't think this. I think this.
No,
is,
I'm pretty sure it's Imperial. That's why they call it high brass. I think it's like a
let me
high
check.
alcohol. Okay, look it up.
Yeah, you may be right.
Everyone be quiet.
was
We're
doing
looking it up.
No, we're not going to look it up. We're gonna
No,
try.
I'm just thinking. I'd like to try. I mean, if I was.
No. It's time to have ye old sweaty balls and pull that beer out. Come on.
Oh, we have a sweaty balls one? Sweet.
Everybody
ye
loves
old.
the sweaty balls.
Oh, sweaty balls. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, this is Looney Soup.
Looney Soup, ye old sweaty balls. They're about the same.
And you want to define that for us?
Soupy,
It
sweaty.
says strong golden ale. Basically, it's
Crazy people stew.
yeah, that's essentially it.
Yeah, because loony and soup aren't American.
Well,
yeah,
it's
I got to
6%.
agree with Chris on
It's
this one.
6%.
the
Is it
loony
only 6?
the loony
6%
comes from
with
the
25 IBUs.
insane people that were considered insane based on the tide and the lunar movement.
That got sent to Australia.
Yes. Sooner rather than later.
We're not going. Oh,
You guys
that's
like deporting
smoky.
people, don't you?
Is
I
that-
like
Is that
this.
supposed to be
This is interesting.
smoky?
I couldn't tell you. Like I say, those last two, they're
Is that
wild
So,
cards.
so Brandon, I felt there was a touch of a phenolic note.
a touch?
I didn't call it smoky, but I understand exactly what you're saying. So I did get that.
Stubby doesn't even want any of this. I guarantee that.
Oh, dude.
Nope, not
Wait
interested at
to
all.
see
Just
this
keep it in
reaction.
here.
Oh, yeah. This is phenolic.
Yeah.
Give me a clean glass because that one's.
Sweetly
That
phenolic.
one tastes like.
You don't need a
Cinemark.
clean glass.
Not-
You want a glass with another taste.
Not an
That last
unpleasant
beer.
phenolic,
That last
but
beer
definitely
tasted like
phenolic.
what I would expect the floor at Cinemark 16 cinema to taste like.
Well, this might taste like the ceiling at a
If-
dollar theater,
yeah.
dude.
If you go on your hands and knees and licked it, right?
It
Got
kind
an
of
adult
tastes
dollar
like
beer.
cigar.
Yeah, anywhere where they've allowed smoking for about 20 years.
Yeah. There you go.
No,
know
it was. It definitely was. It had a lot of diacetyl. It just tastes like movie popcorn.
Drink
to me, you
drink
know?
this beer.
Th-
dude.
This
Yeah,
tastes,
let's have a-
tastes like one of the bars that we went to recently. What was that place called?
The poop deck.
Yeah, the poop.
Yes,
Yeah,
this,
it does
yes,
taste
this
like
is the poop deck in a glass.
It is.
Very well put, Chris. This is the poop deck.
See, I don't get phenols out of that.
You
You're
have got
sick.
to be kidding me.
Dude,
I quit.
we're out.
I don't get like an infection. phenomenal.
So
It's
wait,
not
wait.
an infection.
Wait, no.
It's
there's
phenolic
Doesn't
oil.
it taste like
no
an
infection.
ashtray though?
Doesn't taste smoky
No,
at all
I'm-
to you?
I don't pull that either.
I'm okay with that.
You got to be
It's-
kidding me, really?
It's not. It's like
No.
No.
it's
No.
a little more of the plasticky,
See, I don't
smoky
get that.
plasticky.
I don't get that.
It smells like there's some. There
I get
tastes
a lot
like
of
there's something
bitterness.
wrong with your car.
But that tastes like
So
a
there's a-
hoppy Schlenkerla beer.
So there's a couple things. Swirl your glass.
not that
and
strong,
look,
but yeah.
look at how nice the head is. So the head is really tight. It works really well, which says first and foremost this is a well-made, well-crafted beer. But there's a characteristic in there that you and I both are pulling out that is odd. You're pulling out as heavy phenols, and I do pull phenols on that, and it could strictly be a hop characteristic. Because if it was phenols in a
This
bad
is
note,
absolutely not a
it
hop character.
absolutely would not look the way it does. You
This
could
beer
not
is
get
not
the head.
infected.
No, it's not infected.
I'm not saying
a
it's
problem.
infected either.
No.
No,
Yeah,
it's
no,
not infection phenolic.
No, but it does have a certain and I'm leaning that this is a certain hot
I'm
driven
getting
characteristics.
bitterness from
Really?
This
It's
tastes
hot-
really,
hot
really
straight up
character.
like it's got smoked malt in it.
I'm getting some
Are
apple.
you really think so?
I
characters
think
I
too.
cannot believe that
It
you don't
tastes
taste
like
that.
tobacco and.
I feel like you're just trying to be
leather.
contrarian. Yeah,
I do
yeah,
get some
tobacco and
tobacco.
leather. That's exactly
which
right.
I'm not saying in a like
So,
you
by
know,
the way,
chewing on a
that's-
boot.
a lot of fuggles. Will push
Tobacco,
Yeah, but
apple.
Well, see,
Yeah, a little bit of
phenolic.
apple.
and honestly, that's what I get. Earthy,
Yeah.
leathery.
I get straight up smoke.
that. Yeah.
See, to me,
It's
a
not
lot of
straight up
English hops
smoke to
can
me.
come across as leathery, and I think that's
Yeah,
what
no,
I get
that's
from
what I
it.
say. I think fuggles
little bit
It,
of ham.
come that way
it
too.
tastes like pipe tobacco.
I
to
agree
me.
with everybody.
Tobacco, yeah.
No,
Oh,
pipe
yeah.
tobacco
Smoke.
specifically.
Why?
Smoke, yeah.
Are you from Switzerland?
This tastes
I
like
can be.
loony soup.
Yes, that's there you go. You
Exactly. There you go.
Read the
Oh
label on
my
that. That's
God.
got to have smoke.
Yeah.
see, you got it right in front of you.
Oh, here we go. All right.
And again,
It says Facebook on it.
it's been brewed under license
That's
and
why it
labeled
tastes
by
like this.
somebody.
Oh,
Loony.
it's got hops and barley in it. Okay.
Oh, well, there you go then.
So it narrows it down.
All right.
Are you gonna read, or you're gonna just look at it?
Do you need
I'm
magnifying glass
reading
there?
it.
Are you gonna hold it in your
I'm reading
hand?
it.
till
I'm
swirl
reading it.
goes down?
I'm actually reading it
Out
as
loud.
I think that I think
Looney
it's just,
Soup is an intensely hopped, full-flavored golden ale,
And it's hops.
brewed with hops, barley, brewer's yeast, sugar, and water.
Thank God they
That's
used
tricky.
water.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm so
brewer's
glad they
yeast.
used water.
Don't y'all use like treacle and some of those crazy ass sugars?
All right, treacle.
Yeah,
you were
see?
probably the kid who cracked his head open doing a wheelie on his chopper bike. The young man who almost missed his wedding after a dozen whiskey chasers. The dad who parked his car on the beach at Western Supermare at high tide, and you probably will be paragliding at 90. You loony.
You don't want to go to Western Supermare.
Did I say
Is
it
that like
right?
Detroit?
Yeah, you did.
I
Yeah.
did? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I was afraid you were going to say that's not how you
Yeah,
say it.
no. Western Supermare is on the west
See,
coast.
to
I
me-
would I would like to change the name of this from
See, to
Looney
me-
Soup to Looney Poop.
Okay, so please read the description. On,
Objectionable beer.
please read
Really?
the description
See, I
on
don't-
Lazy
I don't-
Sod
I
as
don't
well.
mind this beer. I don't mind it at all.
I am shocked. that
Yeah, but
said
you
that.
like
with
you like
I
dog
agree
piss
with
and it
you,
was
yeah.
orange.
Lazy Sod is a
To
refresh.
me, it's almost a minty
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah, there's some really weird
And if you let it
characteristics.
Almost
sit for
like
a little
Northern
while,
Brewer.
maybe.
It's not unpleasant. It's just weird. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Didn't you stop it? You like dog piss and it was orange.
Yeah, that was
See,
weird.
Lazy Sod is a refreshingly hopped pale session beer suitable for quaffing on a lazy Sunday afternoon. We hope you enjoy your Lazy Sod, but if you don't, please drop us a line. Contains wheat, barley, and sulfites.
You know what's interesting is a lot of these
read that
beers
first bit again.
on the label say wheat. I've seen wheat on
Lazy
almost
Sod is a
every one of these.
refreshingly hopped pale
Golden
session
light.
beer suitable for quaffing
They're
on a
using it.
lazy Sunday
I think
afternoon.
Nigel,
they're
could you tell us what
using it
quaffing
for
on a Sunday
head-
means?
Yeah, drinking.
Drinking a lot.
Enjoy.
Quaffing
Okay.
is like real drinkable.
Okay.
We decided to brew a nice, easy drinking session beer, so sat down with a selection of our bottle to decide how it should be done. We ummed and ahed and pontificated for a while and discussed other unrelated malters and generally put the world to rights. This would be better if I was in an English accent. While liberally sampling our beers. Eventually we
Nigel
yawned,
falls out of
stretched
his
our
chair.
weary limbs, went home, and let someone else brew it instead. Well, the person who brewed it,
Effed up.
yeah, put a lot of diacetyl in it.
Yeah,
Left a lot of diacetyl in it, I should
There's a
say.
lot in that one.
There is. Yeah.
It happens.
The only other golden ale that's left is Modelo.
Deal. Bring it out.
It's in the fridge.
All right, but anyway,
That's all I got for you guys.
Man, I just want to tell you, thanks,
Thank you so
Nigel.
much.
Thank you so much, Nigel.
It's such an experience, and I really wished everybody out there listening would have the opportunity to experience these beers, because I think it's
But
really
you don't.
fascinating.
Nana boo.
If you have
Stick
any
your head in
friends
doo-doo.
that are British, kidnap their family and make them bring beer like this to you, and it will work.
I think that's
I
sound
swear.
advice, personally.
I think they need to bring it to us.
know, I
I'll
think-
bring it to them.
And us. Also ship some of
We're
it to
going
us
to
while-
kidnap your
before
family.
you're arrested.
My God, you guys are talking over each other.
So I tell you what, I think that this gives a really interesting perspective. Is if you ever travel and you get a chance to get over to England, I know that if I got there, the first thing I'm looking for is the regular
Light.
cask ales. Yeah, I want to get some Bud Light there because I can't get that here. So, but we're going to look for some of the things that were really in our comfort zone of the beers that we're really super excited to see in their native country, but yet don't hesitate to go and explore something else that is not listed as a bitter. It is listed as something different because there are quite a few other varieties out there. And I'm sure if you went to Germany, you'd see the same thing. You'd see some variances and some new craft ideas coming. And I think this is the perfect example that you see an old historical style, which I hope the craft brewers of England will bring back. But I also see
Bring them over here, for
bring
God's
them,
sake.
But I also see that they have decided to come out with something that is a little different. It's a little twist on the things that are in their comfort zone without going way out there. But I know that I personally would not have gone toward a golden ale. I would have tried to stick with every best bitter I could find and every strong bitter. But maybe there's something else out there. And that's one of the things I'm glad you opened my eyes to and brought up. And even from somebody that's read and studied this as much as I can, I didn't know it. And I still don't think I know it, but I'm a little closer, and I'm really excited. So thank you, Nigel.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you-
agree with you on that. Yeah.
You're welcome. The whole idea, I mean, when I go over there, obviously I want to bring beer back for me to enjoy and stuff, because that's one of the main things I miss from being over there. But if I'm able to bring beer back and have others sample it and then educate others on what these styles of beer mean and how to brew them and increase people's knowledge over here, then that's just an added bonus. We're running kind of out of different styles because we've done English bitters, we've done American style craft brew that's brewed over there. We've now done golden ales and milds. Next week we've got winter beers and Christmas ales.
Wow.
What was
Easy.
that?
Pete's back.
So I hate to say my pants got a little tighter,
Uh-oh.
but you're going to bring some of one of my favorites. And-
You were looking at me when you did that, right?
Yeah, I get very excited when I know Sam's winter welcome is going to come back to the States. And
That made me uncomfortable. I
know,
gotta
every Thanksgiving when it shows here. It should. And to have a different example, unfortunately now we really only get Sam Smith's winter welcome. That's about the last one. We used to get some Youngs, and that's kind of gone away. We get some Ridgeways. We get a few of them. But I'm super excited to see the other things that you guys are doing and the breweries are bringing out that are the old.
Well, let me ask you this, James, and we've talked about this multiple times. We all here as beer nerds really respect English styles, love to drink them, love to make them. How come they don't catch on in the craft beer community? Why? I just don't understand it. Is it because craft brewers are not making them properly?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that may
Two
be part of
things.
it.
That I think that has a high percentage of the issues that they're not making them properly, but I think even more that craft brewers are over obsessed now with three things. I usually would say two things. Generally, they would say craft brewers are over obsessed with Belgian beers and hops, and now wild ales. So
Sours, yeah.
there's an over obsession of those three that the old world and the English, you might as well call it that. It's the old world style.
Yeah.
But it's so traditional. It's so critical. And you go walk into a craft brewery and find a German Pilsner, you're going to have a hard time. But when you find one that does it right,
Well, more and
they
more you're
do
finding
it
those,
right.
though.
And eventually, you should see that come.
More and more you're finding them, and more you can depend on. They're
Yeah.
probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, when you order a Pilsner, in the past it's been like, let's
been
see
tough,
what comes.
yeah.
But now I think you can be a little more confident that what you're going to get is going to be real good. The Pilsner in particular is one that I would say there's some brewers out there doing it well.
I think that the style guideline changes the fact that so many more brewers and home brewers and whatnot in general, and just the general drinking public, have a concept of what actually exists and what they can get, and there's so much more. There's a prevalence of information for everybody. That's where you're seeing it. Like, people know what they want.
You do.
And where we're getting it here, I think it's happening over there. I think it's
Right.
happening in Europe in general as well. It's just people are bending to these new things.
Yeah,
So-
well, and unfortunately, so if you take a German or Czech Pils and you convert it to a U.S. brewed beer, it's a standard yellow fizzy beer, right? Well, if you took a English bitter or a porter and you take that and you convert it to English or to American, you're going to get it a pale ale. You're going to get an American style porter. Well, we have that. So what I think a lot of the reason is there's no reason. There's no reason to go back and make an old English style because a lot of people really like what we're doing here. They really like that citrusy note. They haven't come to accustom to the richer malt and the earthy, grassy hop.
Well, and I'll tell you,
they're
I've heard a lot of
interested.
interviews with brewers that say they've tried it and they just don't sell.
They just don't. And that's
Now,
why
I've
they
been
don't
in
sell.
other parts of the country, like I've been in Portland, and I was in 3 breweries that all had English bitters on tap, and a couple that had them on hand pump,
I think that's
and they
'cause-
were great.
honestly.
And
I think
apparently they sell up in that area.
Well,
you know.
I think there's a different sophistication with their craft beer.
I think
market
it's a
there.
more mature craft beer market
think
is
so.
the thing, and it goes back to what I was saying before. There's an arc
Yes.
to your craft beer experience, and I think parts of the country like this that are booming, we're still in that. Holy shit! Let's get extreme with everything, and
Yeah.
America. And even with sour beers and wild ales, like
Yeah.
you're talking about, I think we're
Absolutely.
going to see that come back down to a more reasonable
You
level
are,
at some point.
and you're also going to see some breweries like Oak Highlands, and like in Denver, there's a brewery called Grimm Brothers that have gone back and made their base, their root, all about the old classic styles, making a pure beer. And you're going to see,
And I like that.
you're going to see breweries pop up that say, "Hey, this is what we want to do," and then, but they're going to have to train their consumers that this is what the old classic style was.
Well, you're right.
And,
The market has to mature. The consumer base has to mature along with
and that's
the
probably
brewers.
99% of the answer to what you just asked, W. Is that the consumer and the craft beer market has to understand that the old classic styles, to us, are still craft. They're still very delicate. They're very tough to
Yeah, I
make.
think the consumer's got to open their mind.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
fact
Well,
that
and
the
I
beer,
think
the
it'll
beer
happen.
market,
It'll happen.
The beer market's a global market.
Well, and I think probably a lot of these beers that we drank even tonight were probably pretty large, well-established breweries.
Yeah, the majority of 'em.
and
Yep.
that they know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a whole mentality of the United States that's different from Europe. Is that in Europe it's okay to go to trade school. You might go to school for 4 or 5 years to learn how to be a brewer. And your daddy might have been a brewer, and his grandfather might have been that sort of thing. And it's a little different here in the
It's a
United
very
States,
good point.
where we're mostly home brewers, and we may never even gone to school for brewing. Yeah. So, and they open breweries. Well, while I do think that does give you creative liberty that other parts of the world are not doing, I do think that we do have a lot of subpar beer.
Well, we're in the arc. We're in the arc because of prohibition. Our entire brewing scene is younger
Yeah, and
than it should be.
Right.
in 15 years from now, you're going to see things of what you're talking about. You're going to see more of the like the Berkeleys that have brewing schools. You're going to see places where you can truly get trained on how to brew. And we got to keep in mind, brewing is a science. It's an art, but it's also a manufacturing process.
Right.
No different than making anything else. So if you wanted to make the best brownies in the world, you need to become the best baker. Well, brewing has some of those same areas, but yet you're dealing with chemistry and science that
And
that
also
really push it in.
machinery.
Microbiology and logistics.
So that's going to be something that will evolve over time. But I think you brought up just a second ago, the Prohibition reset the clock for us.
It really did.
So
yeah.
we're a 100-year business, whereas the Belgians have been doing it since Christ, right?
1700s.
Yeah.
And it's not
Long
just the industry side of it; it's the consumer side of it.
Correct.
Where there's a culture over there that is totally different. Where drinking reasonably and drinking as a normal part of your life is just a cultural thing over there. Where it's totally different here. There's still a sort of a taboo, and we haven't quite figured out where exactly we should land. And it might take another 100 years before we're anywhere near.
My missus got such a culture shock 2 years ago when she first went to England with me, and we walked into a pub and we sat down and we all started drinking and talking with my family and stuff, and she was like, "What is this?" I mean, it's completely alien to what she's used to in a bar environment.
It's so much more
There's no
relaxed
music.
and
Yeah,
normal.
it's so
and,
much
you
more
know.
socializing, and it's not so much of a music playing environment.
It's a quiet place that you can sit
Well,
down
and
with
that's
family.
and that's I think
Sounds
that's
wonderful.
it's not all parts of Europe, but Germany especially. When you go to a restaurant, you guys might be at a table, and me and another guy walk in, and guess what? They're going to sit us right at the table with you, and everybody is friendly, and everybody's drinking beer, and
Somebody vomits.
yeah, I mean it's
Only in the toilets.
I mean, it is an experience. I mean, you're not just going there for dinner. You may be there for 3 or 4 hours. You know, so it's way different. And then you go to Belgium, and it's way different too. So
Yeah, so that they wouldn't sit people you didn't know with
yeah,
in England, but
yeah.
Germans are more liberal. Brandon's,
I think we should
Brandon's
probably-
doing a dance.
No, I'm saying
we're
it's probably
getting late
about
on
time to
this,
wrap
so-
this up.
I got to pee too.
We're pontificating as though we're sitting at a pub in England. So
guys,
the
why-
beers,
why wouldn't
worked.
we
They
be?
did their job.
There you
You
go.
know?
I think we had a really good coverage of the golden ales tonight, especially, and the milds. I mean, because we may not have had as many, but
Right.
there really aren't as many out there. So that's an encouragement to you to go out there and try to start brewing more of these, because the more of you that brew them, the more that will be out there, and the more that they may show up in your local pub.
Do it
Your local
now, or
brewery.
we're going to show up and kidnap your family.
And send them
is
to
what he's
us.
saying.
Brandon is serious about that.
I'm serious, man.
He's
And
buying stock in Rogue
I don't have
right
time to
now.
brew, but I do have time to kidnap families.
that's why he shaved his beard. You won't
That's
recognize
right,
him.
to be more aerodynamic. It's a faster getaway.
So in future episodes, we're going to continue coverage of Nigel's beers with Christmas ales and winter warmers. We'll also aim to have some chats with some pro brewers, and we'll hit up a few more listener requests and get in some experiments and more, so keep listening. Again, please be sure to check out our Patreon account at patreon.com/CommonWealth to help support the show. We have $2, $5, $10, and $20 options because every little bit counts. Plus, we want to reward you while you help keep the show going, get involved, and improve it, because you guys really do. Every time that you submit something to us, we like to listen and work with that. Thanks again for listening to Come and Brew Radio. Be sure to share with your friends on social media, give us some ratings on iTunes and Stitcher, and send any ideas or comments to info@texasbrewinginc.com. Also, you can always check in on the Brew Days of the guys at their Brew Focus Facebook pages, at Brew with Stubby, at Brew with Brando, at Brew with Mikey B, at Brew with Chris, and at Brew with Greg, and hopefully at Brew with Nigel.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hey man, I got to pee so bad I can taste it.
All right, guys. Hey,
Just
come and
pee,
brew it.
dude.
Thanks
Bad.
for listening tonight.
Come and brew it.
Come and brew it.
Come and brew it. Come and brew it. Come.